if we can open the microphones for them, so we can just check that they can hear us.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Xavier, Knut, and Ivana. So we're coming into the final part of our panel discussion for this session. Thank you so much for your patience and everybody in the room. And just to think, you're going to be starting your day now. You've already worked half a day, and now you can get another coffee and start from 9 in Europe. How are you feeling? You're flaking, but you're still with us. You're still looking great, the three of you. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to start first, actually, a round of applause for everyone before we start the panel discussion, please. Thank you. Now, I'm going to start already with a question building on the mentoring programs, because we heard quite a few presentations talking about them, what's going on in Europe, what's happening also here and in Australia and China and Japan. So I'm going to ask this question to 4 of you, and that would be to Dr. Ivata, Ivana, Knut, and Xavier, okay, in that order, okay. The question is, building on the mentoring programs, how do you think industry and academia can effectively collaborate to cultivate experts with practical experience in standardization? So that's to you, Dr. Ivata, first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My colleague, Yoshino-san, explained in training course in a university, Japanese university, of about 30 university. However, only a few lectures in a class in a university about standardization education. Also, in a company, to training course of standardizations, training course in only a few companies to carried out in themselves and companies. The reason are lack of the cooperative citizens of the standardization expert, especially, I don't know today, in only problem in Japan, and also to the lack of the evaluate of the activity of standardization in companies compared to academic papers and IPR,
right.
Something. Also, we have security and also to digital transfer to skill set standardization. In Japan, we have. However, we don't have a standardization expert in the skill set standards.
Right.
Because companies need a lot of the expert of the security and digital exchange people. However, to the layer, not need to a lot of the standardization experts in actually. Also, we have a lecture for the young generation students in a university. However, if you have don't in view of the futures in the companies, it is difficult to get in an employee in target role in the companies. We need in some successful role model, such as Otani, and also to the success story of the standardization activity in the companies we need. Our organization needs in some to make export in our members in promote in importance of the standardization activities. This time is a lot of the information in the shares in the capacity building in globally activity. We are shares our members. Yes, thank you very much.
Lovely.
Yep.
That's super. Thank you, Dr. Ivata. Same question, I think, to Ivana and Knut. First Ivana, then Knut, then we'll finalize with Xavier on his thoughts as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question, and my answer will be if we want to have knowledgeable people about standardization with a certain expertise in standardization in industry, we need to work in several tracks. So it is not enough to train only people from company. We need to train wider audience, like research supporters, like support organization to research, like students, university professors. We need professional trainings too. We need a national standards body with training programs and so on. But on the other side, I think that European Commission has wisely decided to support those actions, and today we have many initiatives which support training on standardization to different audience, like public research organization, like technology transfer officers, like higher education, like Edu4 standards, and so on. We have several examples that trainings were offered to small and medium enterprises as well. So I think that we need many actions, not only isolated initiatives on training and education on standardization, and in order to have experienced people in industry, we need more tracks to do that.
Thank you very much, Ivana. Well said. Knut and then Xavier, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to complement what Ivana said with maybe two practical examples. Here at TU Berlin, we work since now almost 20 years together with DIN in teaching bachelor, but mainly master students. And here DIN also provides really the opportunity for the students to that they attend really real meetings, national or mainly international meetings at the premises of DIN, because they host a lot. I think that's really a success model, and good, this is possible here due to the close distance between TU and DIN. I think that's one example. The other one is that it's not so easy to sell this topic to students, and therefore I also call industry really to get involved as guest lecturers, to really show that there are real people beyond this topic which share their experiences, which also share their enthusiasm about the topic, because in general people which are in standardization are quite enthusiastic about it. And also showing, okay, there are job opportunities, and the qualification in standardization is maybe kind of an additional bonus for in the job market to get into this topic. And I think that's yeah, just two examples how we do it. The other kind of field I'm in is to also address researchers in publicly or semi-publicly funded research organizations. And just as a success story now, because I have seen the numbers in the other presentations, I'm running this pilot addressing researchers working in the Institute of European Association of Research and Technology Organizations, and we have now a series of 6 online modules. And I just checked today in the morning, we kick this off on Thursday with the first basic lecture on the standardization landscape, and we have 300 registrations for the first session.
Excellent.
Which is quite nice.
Excellent
Success,
achievement.
because overall, and if that runs through, then we have more than 1,500 participants in this series, which is a good starting point.
Super, thank you, Knut. And over to you, Xavier. Some final thoughts on here?
Thank you, Silvana. Well, the word that I think is key in your question is the word practical. And I think we can do a lot about educating people, teaching them about the theory, let's say, of standardization.
Yeah.
But as Knut mentioned, for example, if organizations like DIN are able to allow these people who are learning about standardization in real meetings, I mean, this is clearly making a difference in how people will see how what they learned about is put in practice or is. And I'm thinking that this might be a very let's say, a large obstacle for smaller structures who want to have, let's say, they have new recruits, they want them to be involved in standardization. It's already a big cost for an SME to send someone to standardization. So sending another person who is not really, I would say, please forgive me for the choice of word, but useful in that, I mean, efficient as a participant in a standardization meeting, because he or she will be more an observer at this stage, is another burden. So maybe if initiatives can allow also covering the cost of observership, that would help maybe some organizations, some smaller organizations, to send people and be in that observer situation. The other thing I wanted to mention is, I have to be honest with you, I don't know exactly the details of how we made this happen, but I know there was someone recently in Etsy coming from TTC, actually, who stayed with us for some time. She's with TTC, maybe as an intern, and I was thinking that maybe I mean, there could be collaboration between international SDOs when they have interns, maybe sending them to observe how things are done in the other organization. And we received Nishio-san from TTC recently, and I think it was a very good experience for her. I know being sitting within the staff of an SDO is different from acting as a member of industry, but it still gives you a first-hand view of the standardization in action, I would say.
That's
Just
a very
two
interesting.
thoughts.
That's a nice observation. Having interns carrying out observing how other organizations are doing it. That leads me on to something that I'm going to start with you, Xavier, if I may, but I'm also going to ask Miss Kim from TTA to also answer this same question. I'm starting with you, Xavier, simply because you have, all the experience from your members, from companies within Etsy, and the question is around the main challenges and you've touched upon it already, if you like, the main challenges organizations and companies face when they participate in international standardization activities, and how do you think what suggestions can you make on how some of these challenges can be overcome? And I want to ask that to yourself, Xavier, what you think about that, and then Miss Kim from TTA. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Silvana. I have some background noise here. I hope it does not reflect on the...
No, we can't hear anything. Just you. It's fine.
Very good. Well, of course, we know that, as you said, I mentioned already that for smaller structures, taking part in international standardization might really be a challenge. So that's why we also came up in Europe with concepts like StandICT. But for larger structures, it's going to be maybe a bit easier to get involved. Honestly, I think, I mean, if we remove considerations such as you know, the language, for example, or things like this, I mean, it's mostly a financial burden, and also this now challenge of maintaining a pool of experts. I mean, who are not only an expert on a given technology, but also on the, let's say, the machine, the standardization machine itself. And so this links back to all the initiatives about education, about standardization, and nurturing and developing a pool of people who are aware of how the machine works, in addition to their own expertise in a given field. So it's all about, I think, I mean, the key word, and it's going to sound awfully obvious, but the key word is anticipation, training, and of course, making sure that the financial resources are there. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. Before I pass to Ms. Kim, what you said is absolutely crucial, because I've just remembered a criticism or recommendation, if you like, that we received in San ICT from the evaluators. They didn't want to pass an expert fellow in his application or her application because they weren't a standards expert, but they were a product expert. Okay, so the argument was, why can't you fund them? We actually need these types of people who can tell us what the product needs to get into the market. So why do I have to label you a standards expert? You are a product expert in this case that speaks the language that a standards expert also needs to know. And the two people are glued together. So we disagreed with the evaluator that they didn't want to pass that. And it's probably, you know, similar to what you're describing now, Xavier, as well, you know, to label to someone as a standards expert, but they're not, but they have other expertise that serves the same goal if it means market uptake and implementation. Ms. Kim, a comment on that, and what your thoughts are? Sorry, Xavier, did you want to mention any? Do you want to say something?
Yes, please.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they don't. So, I mean, we can only create so many chicken and egg situations. I mean, at some stage, we need to have people who have both the experience, and we need to accept that at some stage they need to learn.
Yeah.
And they need to learn by being confronted to the practical experience and so on. So when people hesitate to send people for standardization because they lack expertise either in the technological field or in the process of standardization, I think we should invite people to ask the question about the cost of not doing, because I think in the end it reveals to be higher.
Nice. Good considerations. Thank you very much. Ms. Kim, over to you.
In my view, that question, I think in international standardization is long-term interested and continuous participation.
Yeah.
So, however, many organizations hesitate because results take time. So, step-by-step approach, starting with the training and the mentoring before direct participations can be effective. And with governments and the institutional support to lower barrier, more experts can stay engaged in international standardization over the long term.
Okay, super. That leads me to time and how long it takes for standards to then be implemented, and how long it takes for experts to work on specific technical standards. so new ones or harmonized ones. And I want to take the example of Tony, who spoke earlier as our fellow of Stan ICT, who's received more than one successful bids. Okay. Now, bear in mind, every application goes through a transparent process of external evaluators. Okay, outside of the consortium of Stan ICT. So externals evaluate each time the calls. Now, Tony, he has to every time apply, okay, for the work he wants to do. Now, that's also been, if you like, a criticism for Stan ICT, for us, because some of these individuals say, why do I have to each time apply to continue the work I'm doing? Because it takes not just 6 months to pull out a standard, it takes a long time, as you all know, any of you who have been working on standardization. And so we were posed with this problem for this edition, Stan ICT 2029. And in fact, we are making considerations to those fellows who are returning fellows. Okay, we have to be able to, I'm not saying prioritize, because we're a transparent, neutral system, and it has to stay like that. But if there are candidates who have been pursuing a certain type of activity and they are returning, there's no way that we can ignore that. Okay, we have also prolonged the actual duration of the call from 3 to 6 months to 9 months. So each expert has a longer time to work on his or her activity. And I think that's an important element as well. And with that, I will ask this next question to Tony, and it's linked to perhaps the whole product positioning. And so your question is, how can we maximize and promote the European technological offer, including of products and companies, and ensure at the same time that international partner companies may also benefit? Because there always has to be a win-win, right? So, Tony, question to you on that.
Yeah, thank you. Just to comment first of all on the duration.
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right that, I mean, Stand ICT describes 6 months as being a long time. I think ISO would describe 6 months as being one iteration. And when you look at how long it takes to go out, do consultation, the average beginning from new project through to final published standard is around about 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years. But you've got normally a couple of years before then at preliminary work item stage, where you're just getting ready to press the button to go. So you can be looking at a 5-year project. ISO 27566 started as a proposal from BSI in the UK to ISO in 2020.
Wow.
And it's just about to be published. So you're looking at quite a period of time. What I do think, though, is that we have a huge opportunity in Europe to bring standardization expertise. I heard somebody once, and maybe this is incredibly unfair, but I did hear somebody once say that the US is very good at not only coming up with ideas, but also people who are prepared to take a punt and take a risk on those ideas. Asia is incredibly good at building stuff and making it work. And Europe is incredibly good at regulating and standardizing it once it's set up. That might be a massive oversimplification of the situation, but I think there's some truth to that as well. So when you look at the kind of capability that there is around the world and across Europe, is a significant number of people coming from different contexts and different organizations to be able to bring something which in practice will work as a standardized approach, but also they come from a point of view of how do you encourage innovation, creativity, and that competitiveness, and bring small businesses and bring new innovative ideas to the whatever the problem is that you're facing? One of the downsides of the US, and I apologize to people from the US who may be here or online, is they tend to favor major, large-scale, global platforms, and therefore a singular either monopoly or duopoly approach, which is not tended to be favored elsewhere in the world. But we kind of live with it because that's what we're faced with by American big tech.
Thank you, Tony. Please, if anyone in the audience or online want to intervene or ask any questions, then please put your hand up. Feel free to do so. Okay. Next up, Maria. Oh, we have someone on the screen. Okay, who is that?
Xavier again.
Xavier, go. Thank you.
It just occurred to me that I forgot to say one thing regarding to your previous question about the obstacles,
Yep.
to getting involved in international standardization. I think something also which is a big problem for a lot of companies, smaller and even larger companies, is the multiplication of fora and bodies that address the same topics. And covering all bases is more and more difficult. So I just wanted to add this. Thank you.
Xavier, I missed this part before. You said you're going to have to repeat
You were
that for
asking
me.
earlier about the
obstacles.
difficulties,
Yeah.
obstacles, yes, to get involved in the international standardization. But when you're working on a, let's say, hot topic that everybody wants to address, then you have a multitude of bodies that are working on a same topic, which means that you need to be everywhere. And being everywhere has a terrible cost. So I just wanted to add this. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. Do you have a solution to that? No, actually, let me rephrase that.
As at sea, we would say, I mean, try and bring your activities in established bodies and avoid creating a new forum each time you think a new topic should be addressed, because it's only making things worse.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Maria, I have a question for you. In emerging technology fields such as AI, 6G, or digital trust, what types of policy or institutional support are most needed to strengthen standardization capabilities?
Well, thank you for the question. And really, there are a few key forms of policy and institutional support that are needed with these key emerging technologies. So one of those forms of support is around promoting the value of standards participation, particularly with SMEs, particularly for those early stages of a technology's maturation. It is absolutely necessary for there to be support around that promotion. Another area is around capacity building, not just in technical skills, but in those soft skills, those non-technical skills that a number of the speakers today have spoken about. It's really fantastic to see when people have those soft skills, they feel much more confident to be in those situations of developing standards. And that's absolutely necessary for these emerging technologies. Of course, in Australia, we have the Tech Standards Knowledge Program. We have a way of building those soft skills through the courses of that program. We also need resourcing, which is the big one, and we've heard about that a little bit as well. Now, in Australia, we have some resourcing for standards experts to take part in standardization. Australian industry are financially supported to participate in international meetings through what we call the Support for Industry Service Organisations program. So that's a program that's a long-running initiative of the Australian government. Its purpose is to ensure continuing Australian participation in and representation of key international standards and conformance bodies. So the CISO program delivers fundings to Standards Australia and the National Association of Testing Authorities to support this activity. And it also speaks to some of the length of time that's needed to invest in standards as well. It can provide some support for that. And apart from that, there's also the need to share information and analysis of the standards ecosystem. So, for example, in Australia, we've run a number of insights forums, bringing together standards experts and intelligence agencies. So seeing that sort of cross-sector information sharing and insight sharing. So that's another key part of the institutional and policy support that can be provided in this case.
Lovely. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask a question next to Dr. Vata. They are on it's the key factors that enable standardization capabilities to translate into what are the key factors that enable standardization capabilities to translate into real competitiveness in the ICT industry. The questions to you, Dr. Vata, but to finalize and wrap up, and maybe Mr. Seok-Kyu Kang, you might want to add something to that question as well. But I will finish by asking, so I'm going to let everyone online and here in the audience just think of one sentence to take away. What have you taken away from today's session? So I want you to also think about that, because I will ask all of you to very briefly say a couple of words on that. But first, back to you, Dr. Vata, on the key factors that enable standardization capabilities. Do you want to can you think of anything you want to introduce there that's really competitive for the ICT industry? Difficult question.
Yes. It is a difficult question in Japan, in companies to want to make a standardization target themselves in technologies.
Yeah.
In it is to mind of the global market, targeting the global markets in internal to market only to silo model.
Yeah.
We need in some to mind change in our companies CXO, CSO, something to the change to mind in including in marketing strategy, including in the standardization strategy. We need in some promote in collaborate with the government to promote in Japanese companies. This is
that's crucial, and that actually was very key in your Mr. Seok-Kyu Kang's presentation when you were describing the experts, and what they're doing in supporting the companies. It's exactly what you've just described, Dr. Vata. Couple of thoughts there, then, and then we'll wrap up with our final one sentence from everybody.
Okay, thank you for your question. If we define the company's standardization capability as the ability to develop the new products based on the existing standard, and to develop,
that's critical, isn't it? That's what that's a practical example of of uptake.
In Korean case, there is one company is professional for the smart city platform.
Right.
They have the IoT platforms technologies with their patent.
Okay.
And they also their technology put into the international standard. But they want to, the company wants to the sales for the global market. But they are the small-sized company, so they don't have any kind of the brand power. So they use the test and certification program
Yes.
from the
Yeah.
TTA.
Yes.
They get the certification for 1M to M.
Right.
So they successfully sales their product to the European market, and they have some the increasing the market share right now.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice practical example you've given. Okay. So let's then across the board. I'm going to start with you, Tony. What have you made? What's your main takeaway from today's session?
So I think what I was most impressed with was the education resources that that were being described by the EU booster and the other things there. Because one of the things you discover when you get involved in standardization is that there's a game in the UK called Scrabble, and I've just looked up, and I think it's Yangmal in Korean. It's a word game, and sometimes you get the impression when you work in standards that the people who name them are picking the letters and the numbers out of a bag and just randomly throwing them on a table. So your navigation through standards can be quite complex just to even get through the first sort of understanding of where they are and where they come from and the hierarchy and the structure of them. And so those education resources, in particular the stuff that was relatively basic, just like what is a standard and how is it numbered, are, I think really critically important to get the next generation of people engaged.
Lovely. Dr. Ivata, your takeaway from today?
Now we try to making a skill set of the standardization expert, and this time is a lot of the almost the same like to a lot of the shares in a global level in similar thinking to the promote with the next generation expert. I'd like to collaborate to continue to this effort to the globally. I'd like to do some establishing citizenship in standardization experts in yes. This is
Lovely. Thank you, Dr. Ivata. Dr. Maria, over to you.
Thank you. So I took away a lot from this session, but I have to say that the importance of sustainability and succession planning is a key takeaway. And there is so much that can be done just by targeting programs in a slightly different way, to be targeting those next generation experts and to make sure that they've got pathways and motivation to actually participate in standards. So that's one of my key takeaways from the session.
Nice. Thank you so much. Ms. Kim, over to you. Your takeaway today?
Yes, today I learned the many of our current experts are in their 50s and older, and they are concerned about their retirement. So although we already have a mentoring program in place, I strongly feel that we need to make more effort to foster the next generation of standardization experts.
Nice. Thank you. Mr. Sokyu Kang, your takeaway.
Can I comment briefly? It was a nice, great discuss today, and it has been a highly beneficial to exchange views and from the various countries and expertise. So I hope the TTA and the other SDOs can more cooperate more together from now on. Thank you.
Thank you. And online, our wonderful EU experts who've waited patiently, have been with us, and are going to start their day. Ivana, Xavier, and Knut, over to you. In that order, your takeaway from this session.
Would you like me to start?
Yes, please, Ivana.
So the key takeaway from today's session is maybe that if you want to raise a child, you need a whole village. So I will say that maybe the collaboration is the key word, and maybe that we should sustain exchanging experience, exchanging ideas and good things, and to bring more collaborative results to the audience.
Indeed, Ivana. It's nice when you can say this worked here in Europe. Why don't we try it elsewhere, and vice versa? Some of the lovely examples we're hearing from the other regions to implement them in Europe is clearly a takeaway and a successful practical input. Knut, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. My takeaway is a little bit kind of complementary to what Ivana said. She talked about cooperation, but what I observe is that there's competition in standardization. Everybody wants to bring in his or her technology and also maybe IPR but this competition has now moved to also the competition in capacity building. That means we see that different countries, regions are putting strong efforts, and I have to say Europe is not ahead. Also regarding the resources I see being invested are not really at the level in other regions, but this competition is good. It's good for standardization because then we get kind of more competent people into the system, which might help to overcome the demographic challenges we face, but also the challenges we face regarding new topics coming to the table, and therefore this is a good thing. Sure, this might be also then in a next step, also maybe the base for collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Knut. And let's finish with Xavier, your takeaway from today.
Thank you, Silvana. Well, listening to all the presentations and the exchanges, my feeling is that really we can consider that standardization should not be an afterthought. And what we've seen, I mean, despite all the efforts we're making in order to improve the speed of the process and how easy it is to access standardization activities, there will still be a need and a learning curve to get involved. And so education about standardization, about the value of standards and standardization is really key. Because in the same way, you cannot consider security in a product at the end of the development process. You have to have security by design, privacy by design. And I think for some organizations, they should consider standardization by design as well. And in order to be able to implement that vision, then they need to start early enough. And then this made me think about the sentence, slow and steady wins the race. And in the same way, you cannot get a child in 1 month by having 9 women pregnant. You cannot get the result you want in standardization by starting too late. So it's for us to make sure that the industry is prepared and educated about what it takes to be involved in standardization. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, we're coming up to the end of our session. I'd like to thank all of you here on stage, online. I'd like to thank the technical team who managed a wonderful hybrid connection flawlessly, also with these simultaneous translations. I'd like to thank the videographer and cameraman as well. Again, TTA, Peter, Mina, Sojung, you've been great. It's extremely important to have these exchanges They're tough, obviously, you know, getting people in a room, but they make such a difference. And I certainly have come away with lots of things I didn't appreciate before. And something, probably my nicest takeaway, was the slide on the experts of the under 40s. So there's encouragement that there is hope for the next generation of experts. They are out there and we are engaging with them. So have a wonderful rest of the day and tomorrow, and super venue this for Gisc 2025. And thank you once again. Round of applause for all of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for participating until this time. I want to special thanks to the moderator for doing an excellent job, and the speakers who joined us from far away and early morning. Yes, the session is over, but at Grace Hall 2 on 6th floor, there will be a raffle drawing. So you might want to run up there. We have 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Xavier, Knut, Ivana. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks once
Bye-bye.
again.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Lovely. Thank you. Yes, absolutely.